Hi, how's it going? This is Resident. I'm calling it for YouTube. On November 24th, 1971, a man purchased an airline ticket under the name Dan Cooper. And this guy would go on to live in infamy, even though we have no idea or no closer clues to who his identity is. And I'm going to get into why I'm discussing this. So, you literally have this guy, he buys a ticket under a name that's not his, and at least that's what's perceived. And I don't think Dan Cooper is this guy's real name. The media is going to dub him DB Cooper when once he pulls off what he pulls off, and he pulls it off successfully. I have my own theories about this, and I'm sure people will laugh at those theories, and you're welcome to. Um, but again, I'm going to get into why I'm discussing this too. So he hands the stewardess a note. She reads the note, and no sooner does she read it, he takes it right back. This is what I've always found most odd, but again, over time I found it less odd because I'm thinking, well, if they have the note, they have the fingerprints. So he doesn't. That's why he's he's taking a note, right? It's something they could trace his fingerprints to. You know, again, was this planned? I'll get into that. Why I'll get into what I think about that. So it it's a note saying that he has a bomb, and he says that if his ransom demands aren't met, that he'll blow up the plane. I'm gonna say this. I've always found this. Here's why I find this odd. This guy is willing to blow himself and other people up over money. Now, when you get into terrorism today and what it is today, most terrorists aren't about the money, they're about religion. That's what September 11th was about. I think that's the thing I want to discuss with this too. Dan Cooper, long before Osama bin Laden, terrorized the nation, Dan Cooper captivated it. He more interested than terrorized it. He terrorized the people on the plane, and that's what he is. He is a terrorist and a thief. But most people, I think, idolize him because hey, he got away with it. He didn't really hurt it. Who did he hurt? No one. He didn't kill nobody. He didn't commit no murder that we know of. Um, with Osama bin Laden, his his what happened with him, he wasn't about money, he was about religion. So if you weren't going to convert to his religion, he was going to kill you for it. And that's what September 11th is about. Unfortunately, that's what happened. This is what happens when you have somebody who literally is that much of a maniac that they order people to fly planes into a goddamn building. But with Dan Cooper, that isn't the case. This isn't about killing somebody or delivering a message to about religion. This is about money. I think that's the biggest difference too. When you look at these two cases, you can't really compare them. And they're to me, I want to. That's why I bring them up together. Now they're not comparable. One, this case happened way before 9/11 ever happened. Even the first one, well, remember the first World Trade attacks weren't done by plane; they were done by a car bomb, I believe, in the mid '90s. So you you can't really compare September 11th to DB Cooper for a lot of reasons. Number one, DB Cooper, Dan Cooper, whatever the hell you want to call him, was about money. He wanted money, and I really find it odd that the airport's policy is to completely cooperate with his ass. I mean, they did everything to bend over backwards for this guy. You might as well say they did bend over backwards for him. And he got the money he wanted. He got a parachute, and he, as the plane takes back off, he releases all the passengers, But the pilot and the stewardess who read the note, she stays with him, and he opens the back of the plane and he jumps out. He orders the plane to go to Mexico, but he doesn't go. That's just it. He doesn't make it to Mexico because he chooses to jump out of the plane and parachutes out of it. Do I believe this was planned? Yes. Do I believe it was properly planned? Yes. Do I think there's more than one person involved? Yes, I do. I think there is more than one person involved, and I'll tell you why. Now, I here's why I think there's more than one person involved. There's at least one other person. I do mean only one other. The person who jumped out of the plane, do I think they had military training? Yes, I do. I do think they had military training. Again, I don't know who DB Cooper is. I have no idea who he is. This is just my opinion on the matter. Do I think that someone out there knows who this guy really is? Yeah, of course I do. Whoever who whoever he if he decided to share the money with somebody, then he did. Now, I think somebody helped him gather up most of the money that they took. Did he lose some of it? They have found money near where he jumped, I guess, or not too far from where he jumped. Now, that could it be an intentional misdirect? It could, but I don't think it is. I do think he lost some of the money. Because listen, no plan goes perfectly. And that really is true when you think about it. There are plans that just don't go all that perfect. And you know what? There are other crimes that just don't. And if he lost some of the money and you found it, you might say, well, he just died. Now, they've never found the parachute and they've never found the body. So I don't think he died. That's number one. But here's why I'm getting into this. You know, there's a series coming up on Netflix about DB Cooper. And there was a series on the History Channel about these reporters, these amateur sleuths who were getting into DB Cooper. And if it's about that, let me just say something. I'm all for figuring out who DB Cooper was or slash is. But bro, let me tell you what I'm not for. I'm not for the point of to the point of harassing people who you think DB Cooper is. You know, saying somebody has military experience and say, hey, they jumped out of a plane for the military doesn't make them DB Cooper. Them being in the military and having experience to know how to put a bomb together doesn't make them DB Cooper. You know, and I think the FBI put it best. You know, find me the parachute. They told these amateur sleuths this. Now, amateur sleuths have done a lot of work on the case, more so than the actual law enforcement have put more clues together than the actual law enforcement. Law enforcement has actually pretty much given up on the DB Cooper case unless new information comes to light. Why has the law enforcement given up on DB Cooper? Well, let's be honest. When you weigh DB Cooper up against terrorists who are going to commit cold-blooded murder, where does the scale really balance? It doesn't balance in DB Cooper's favor. You know, missing money isn't as important as, you know, people getting killed. And it never will be, no matter how much money gets taken. Now, there was a point in time where, you know, you might say, well, there are other people who took money. You know, Dillinger took money. Yeah, but Dillinger, here's the difference. Dillinger killed people too. That's the biggest difference. When you you can't really always compare cases. And it's sort of like I said, I brought up September 11th for a reason, because I don't really compare. You can't compare September 11th to D.B. Cooper. You can't compare what Osama bin Laden did to D.B. Cooper. That's why I'm bringing these up. There are just cases where, okay, there are cases that do involve death with money, for sure. But there's no death in this actual case. That's that's another thing I want to point to too. Whoever this guy was, he made sure not to kill somebody. Now, do I think I'm wrong about another person being involved? Sure. I'm not so high on my own opinion that I don't think I'm wrong. I do think there's things I'm wrong about on this. But I'll say this though too. How much of this was planned? When I say this was planned, let me tell you where I think this was planned up to. The buying of the plane ticket, the alias, and the bomb, and the location. That's it. Because here's the thing. You can't plan for an airport to give you money. What if they didn't cooperate with him? What if they did? What's he going to do? Blow it up? He'll be dead. He'll be dead. That's the thing. When I say this was planned, I think it was only planned up to a certain point. Yes, the location of where he was to jump was a plan to get out of this. But in order for that plan to work, guess what has to happen? They have to cooperate with him and give him the money, and the plane has to take back off. If they tell him no and he blows up the plane, guess what? It's over. I think that's the thing. Like, this was only planned up to a certain point. I don't think it was fully fought. You can't be sitting in a room with yourself and say, oh, they're for sure going to give me the money. I mean, you could have that confidence in you, but to know for sure is insane. I don't think Dan Cooper, whoever the hell he was, sat there in a room and said, oh, yeah, they're going to give me the money for sure. No, I don't think that. That was a gamble he took. Because listen, with crime, there is risk. That's. I remember a police officer saying criminals will take the greatest risk. And that's what really Dan Cooper, or whatever you want to say, he did take. He did take the greatest risk. He makes a bomb. He buys a ticket under a false name. He boards a plane. He demands money. There's no guarantee they'll give him that money. I mean, think about it. Here's a guy who's committing an act of terrorism, but at the same time is committing one of the greatest thefts ever going to be ever recorded. And he tells him to fly to Mexico. He has no intention of going to Mexico. he lowers the back of the plane and he jumps the hell out. Is this one of the greatest crimes ever? It's the greatest crime ever. I'm sorry, and with reason, because he got the fuck away with it. Whether you want to agree with that or not, that's fine. You don't have to. I don't idolize the guy at all, because number one, he was a terrorist. I've said this. I said it then, and I've said it now. Dan Cooper was a terrorist. He wasn't just some thief. He was a terrorist. No, he didn't kill nobody, but he did commit an act of terror. Is it crazy that it's gone this long and that no one's been caught? Yes. Here's what I'll give the amateur sleuths, that the fact that they are out there trying to solve this. Because there are law enforcement agencies that are out there that aren't trying to really solve this anymore. Because it's how old, and there are just other cases that are more important than this. If Dan Cooper would have killed somebody, or if they feel he would have killed somebody, would this case be more important? Yeah, I do. I think if this were sort of like a Dillinger case where he had committed murder in the act of doing this, there would be a precedent more for it today. It would be more attention. I'm not saying it doesn't have its own attention to it. It certainly does, and still to this day there are people who talk about Dan Cooper, D.B. Cooper, like this nerd here. Do I think he'll ever be caught? it's weird because, no one ever thought that the Zodiac killer would be discovered. And, finally, DNA evidence has sort of pinpointed that. So I'm not going to say he'll never be caught, but I think it's less likely that he'll be caught because, number one, to me, you need DNA evidence to know who D.B. Cooper was, not just somebody getting up in front of a camera and saying, "Oh, I know who Dan Cooper was, and it's this guy over here." That's just somebody being a jackass. Um, and that's what I'll say to that. Unless you're gonna, I agree with some, even though I think the FBI makes some glaring mistakes, I do agree with them on this. Unless you're going to actually have evidence of someone being Dan Cooper, then you really don't know who the real Dan Cooper was, because Dan Cooper was an alias. Um, all right, guys. I hope you guys have a good day. I'm sure somebody will correct me that I made a mistake on this video. I don't think I made any. I might have. I don't know. I'll say so. You guys have a good day. I got 2 more videos to record.